Aptas Ayurveda Trust, reach Ayurveda to each. Celebrating its 10th anniversary presents Ayurgrama 3.0, third edition of National Level Ayurveda Contest with the theme Indriya Arogya, Swastha Indriya, Swastha India on behalf of Charaka Jayanti 2026. Organized by Aptas Ayurveda Trust, Karnataka. Supported and guided by National Commission for Indian System of Medicine. Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapeeth. Prize for the contest is sponsored by Vaidya Chetan Upadhyaya, founder and managing director of Prana Vaidya Group of Hospitals, which has 9 hospitals across India. Sponsored by Vaidya Hari Krishna Panache, founder and managing director of SDP Ayurveda Putturu. Punarvasu 2.0, International Summit on Indriya Arogya. Theme: Harsha, Health Advocacy for Renaissance of Sensory Health through Ayurveda. On 29th and 30th August 2026, Saturday and Sunday at Shri Kshetra Dharmasthala, Karnataka. Be there, be the moment. Swastha Indriya, Swastha India. Register now.
Every morning, the world enters in us through 5 doors without asking permission: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. This is Sanjeevini Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Hubballi, a place where classical medicine is still taught the way it was meant to be. Not from a screen, but from a teacher's living voice. It began as most important things to do in an ordinary classroom. It was Dr. Ashwath sir who first spoke of it in the class, a national movement conceived by Team Aptas, built around a single vision: Swastha Indriya, Swastha India. Healthy senses, a healthy nation. And by the time class ended, we knew we had to be a part of this. The first step of any journey in an institution is permission and the courage to ask for it. Our principal did not hesitate. He said yes. And with that single word, Team Sanjeevini was born. We registered, and before we planned a single activity, before we designed a single questionnaire, we did something else first. We prayed, not for ourselves, but for Team Aptas, for having the vision to bring a cause like this to the nation. Hi, my name is Shiva and I am the head of the team.
My name is Jansab. I am head of survey and research team.
Hi, my name is Kiran. I am the head of finance and resource mobilization.
Hi, my name is Prajal and I am head of data collection.
Hi, I am Aisha Balu, head of data analyst.
Hi, I am Arundhati. I am cultural activities head.
Hi, I am Mansa. I am the head of report writing.
Hi, I Savita Koppar. I am the head of IC material development.
Hi, I am Swarna Mega. I am the head of event transport and logistics.
Hi, I am the head of photography and videography, and my name is Prajwal Bendre.
I am Khushi Jain, the head of publicity and media.
On the first day, before a single lamp was lit, before a single shloka was chanted, we did something that had never been done before in the history of this institution. For 5 minutes before Dhanvantari Stavana, before the traditional lamp lighting, the entire gathering was led through a guided verbal awareness practice.
Keep a gentle smile. Keep a gentle smile. Feel your feet touching the ground. Feel the chair supporting you. Keep the gentle smile.
Invitation to become conscious of one's own body and mind. So It was a small departure from tradition. It was a small and a deliberate one. Before you invoke Dhanvantari for the health of others, Team Sanjeevini believed you must first arrive fully in your body. Then came the voice of the people who had carried this vision from a classroom conversation to a national stage. Our coordinator addressing the gathering with the institutional weight of project, and our team head speaking for the 24 students who had built this from nothing. The inauguration closed the way it began, and as the dignitaries stepped down from the stage, Sanjeevini already knew the next 7 days would not be ordinary. For this inauguration, Team Sanjeevini made a deliberate choice. We did not invite a speaker for a one-way lecture. We invited a practitioner, Panchalingappa Kavlur, a world-renowned yoga instructor, to lead an activity that would stimulate the very indriyas and the prana we gathered to protect. Because a lecture is heard, an experience is remembered, and we did not want the Saptaha to begin with information but with sensation. But we wanted to begin it with sensation.
Then slowly breathe out. ಉಸಿರನ್ನ ಹೊರಗಾಕಿ ಹೊರಗಾಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಒಳಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಫೀಲ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಬ್ರೀದ್ ಇನ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಅಪ್ ದ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಅಪ್ ದಿ ಹಾರ್ಟ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಅಪ್ ಸಹಸ್ರಾರ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಯುವರ್ 3 point of Ayurveda. You know about pranayama? What is prana? I was.
With the questionnaires we had built, not randomly. Every question was engineered around a single Ayurvedic distinction. The questions were divided into Adhisthana Dushti and Artha Dushti. Was the seat of the sense organ itself affected, Adhisthana, or was it the function, the Artha, that was compromised? This single distinction would later tell us not just what was wrong on the campus, but how deep it went. And every question was Google formed. We did not sit back and wait for responses. We walked into every classroom, into the hospital wards, into the staff room. We explained face to face what the survey meant.
So, students were tested in their problem like question Ayurveda, another assessment. This is a survey. This is a, what is this?
To every student, to every teacher, every member of the non-teaching staff at Sanjeevini. This wasn't data collection. This was campus being asked for the first time, how are your senses really? Then came the numbers, and the numbers did not lie. Across the entire campus, students, faculty, staff alike, one sense organ stood out all above. The eyes, red, watery, strained, and close behind the skin, dry, depleted, and neglected. We had found its nidana, now it needed its parivarjana. From this single finding, Team Sanjeevini did not scatter its energy into a dozen small gestures. We built our behavioral change initiatives, each one aimed directly at what survey had revealed. Every 2 hours, a bell rings across Sanjeevini. Not a warning, just a reminder. A reminder to drink at least 200 milliliters of water. It sounds simple, it is not. Hydration is one of the quiet foundations of Swarshana, of skin health. Dry, dehydrated skin was our campus' second largest complaint. And every ring of the bell was our team answering it, one glass at a time. The plan on the paper was ambitious. 60 compartment phone boxes stationed outside every classroom. Reality, as it often does, asked us to adapt. What we built instead may have been even better. Five pigeon boxes, one for each classroom, each compartment assigned by roll number, sealed with the lock and key. Before every class began, every phones go silent into the box. And here is what mattered us the most. This was never planned to protect our eyes, it was planned to protect the manas, because in Ayurveda, the manas is the gatekeeper of Indriyas. Whether the mind wanders unchecked, the senses follow into imbalance. Heal the manas and you will begin to heal Indriyas itself. On the wall of every classroom, a simple poster now hangs. A 5-minute guide to eye exercises, timed to 2 more important 2 moments every single day. The teacher taking the first class of the morning and the teacher taking the last class of the evening carries one additional responsibility: to pause and to guide the students through it. A ritual bookending every academic day. And every evening from 4:30 to 5, Sanjeevini pauses again. This was not one-time demonstration for the cameras, it was followed religiously every single day of the Saptaha. What moved us most was not the discipline of the schedule, it was what happened when the schedule wasn't enforced to all. Students who were buried in other responsibility, finishing reports, running errands, still walked alone at 4:30. Nobody called them, nobody had to. That was the moment Team Sanjeevini understood. This was no longer our initiate, it had become Sanjeevini's habit.
And exhale. Inhale and exhale. Put the sound, make sound. Inhale and
Before the single day unfolded, Team Sanjeevani gave each one a name. Because a Saptaha without identity is just a schedule. With identity, it becomes a story. Day 1 carried the inauguration itself, the Indriya Prana stimulating activity that became the foundation of the entire week. And the first yoga and pranayama session at 4:30, Sanjeevani's very first collective exhale. Day 2 was meant to open with wonder, Indriya Sambhrama, through a classical dance performance which we called as Abhinaya. But plans like bodies are not immune to disruption and the performance was postponed. What Day 2 gave instead was the very first competition of the Saptaha, an essay competition that drew more than 40 entries on its very first attempt. Day 3 brought a quiz. Unlike the college had run before, one built to test the senses himself, not just recall facts about them. Day 4 opened with the podcast on Indriya Arogya in digital era, followed a class by classical dance performance which we called Abhinaya that Saptaha had been waiting for.
We are doing Abhinaya on Trisutra. Me being Hetu, me being Linga, me being Aushada, me being good heart, me being evil mind. Okay.
Day 5 turned Sanjeevani into a gallery of its own learning, a poster and a model exhibition. Alongside on-screen demonstrations of preventive Ayurvedic procedures that we recorded by ourselves. Day 6 brought a student-led conversation, a talk on Swastharitta, followed by an afternoon of a sensory funny games that had the entire campus laughing at its own mind. And which was followed by a valedictory program. And now Sanjeevani was not like the same campus, like it was when they began. A podcast recorded with Dr. Ashwini Patil on a question very student in that room was lived with.
Indra means prana. From that word, the word Indram Bravayati Indra. So the one which is going to give you the life, which is showing you the sign of life, that is considered as the Indriya or the Indra. So these Indriyas are the things which show that a human body is having a life or no life. This is what is the concept of Indriya as per our.
What does it mean to protect the senses in an age that profits from their overstimulation and overuse? Conversation moved through the fundamentals of Indriya Arogya layer by layer and arrived finally at messages we would carry for the rest of the Saptaha. And we had one more pod recorded on Swastharitta or Swastha Samrakshana, the Ayurvedic science of daily and preventive living with Dr. Ravindra Dumma.
Okay. Even the power of our intelligence, to what extent we have to use, but in that work we are using more and more, so that they don't have the rest. They have to have the rest, no? Okay. So their efficiency will come down. Okay. One best example I will give you, especially for your eyes, as you have raised that question. You know that eyeball movement is very well managed by the four important recti muscles: superior, inferior, medial and lateral rectus muscle of the eyeball. When you concentrate on the mobile screen or the laptop screen, computer screen, what happens? These muscles have to work a lot to fix the
grounding everything the Saptaha had built.
So here we are performing the procedure of netra painting. The ingredients which we have used is aloe vera, haridra and guruchi. We have pounded them together and taken in a cotton gauze piece, and then we are going to keep them on the eyes for relaxation. So now I will show you the procedure. So these gauze pieces should be kept on the eyes for at least 20 minutes. It helps in relaxation of the eyes, reduces the burning sensation of the eyes, and it helps in conjunctivitis.
And for those procedures too specialized to demonstrate on every student, Sanjeevini brought orientation instead, screen demonstrations of preventive Ayurvedic procedures, so that even what could not be practiced that day could still be understood. Every competition this Saptaha held was judged and held to genuine merit, not enthusiasm alone. The very first competition of the Saptaha was essay writing competition on a single theme: 5 senses, 1 balance. More than 40 entries poured in, judged by Dr. Ashwini Patil and Dr. Sandhya Rani. Then came quiz unlike another.
Reference chapter of Indriya Pradoshaja Vikara of Charaka Samhita.
Built around various testing methods rather than merely recalled. Questions arrived as songs that demanded the ears actually listen, not merely hear. Riddles that asked the eyes to notice, not just see. There was laughter in that hall and competition. This round was judged by Dr. Shashkant Hiramat with Mr. Mashak Nadaf as quiz master. Slogan writing and poster making followed, each entry a fresh attempt to say the same truth in a new voice. That healthy senses built a healthy nation. Slogans were judged by Dr. Somashekar Huddar. Posters by Dr. Saubhagya Lakshmi.
Well, it was a very insightful event. Lot of colorful posters, lot of creativity.
And one more competition deserves its place here. The Screen Time Detox competition. And for days compete not to win applause but to win back their own time. The winners were not those who performed the best. They were those who looked at the screen the least and looked at life most. Wonder Team Sanjeevini had planned would arrive through dance. 3 Bharatanatyam dancers had prepared an Abhinay. classical performance built entirely around the Trisutra Siddhanta, translating Ayurveda's threefold principle into a language a village could feel before it could explain. 3 dancers, 1 classical language, but as something that the body itself Sanjeevini into a gallery of its own learning, a poster and a model exhibition. Weeks of research distilled onto a single display board, walked past by hundreds of eyes. Those eyes got information and education they had to. The senses learn as much through laughter as through lecture. The sense objects sorted by scent alone, fabrics identified by touch alone, a depictively simple screen challenge, the color, not the word, had left students laughing at their own minds for confusing what the eyes saw with what the mind expected. And one final game asked a single, quietly profound question. As the songs play, how many of your senses are actually engaged right now? Or how many senses the songs involve? Most students had never once counted. That day, they did. None of this ran on energy alone. Behind every activity stood a body of material team Sanjeevini from scratch. 2 podcasts, numerous posters, slogans, calendars, and pigeon boxes. And every moment of it, every session, every competition, every quiet and scheduled yoga circle was documented and preserved online. A complete digital record of 7 days that Sanjeevini will not be allowed to forget. What did 7 days actually change on this campus? A campus that once treated red, tired eyes as normal now speaks the language of Nidana Parivarjana. A box that once seemed like a compromise became a daily ritual of discipline. A 4:30 bell that once needed enforcing now needs none. 7 days after it began, the Ayurvidyalaya is closed. Simple and crisp, exactly as it should be. The team head rose first. Not to summarize achievements, but to offer gratitude to the coordinators who guided, to the volunteers who never stopped, to a campus that had its 7 days chosen to change.
Guest of honor, special invitee and our coordinators, teaching and non-teaching staffs, and my dear friends. Days ago, I stood here explaining.
Then came the wisdom of the CEO, Dr. Bannigold sir. Words that looked forward as much as they looked back. Wishing the team strength of the round still ahead, Ayurgrama's journey to the village.
Amongst them, one is the Ayurgrama. It's the third such program. In one program, they have conducted in a village for many of the Ayurvedic students and introduced the persons in the field of Ayurveda who have given lot of contributed a lot of the improvement and spreading the knowledge of Ayurveda. It may be.
And finally, the moment every competitor had waited for. Cash prizes distributed to the winners of every competition with the week had held. With that, Ayurvidyalaya Round 1 Ayurgrama 3.0 was formally complete.